Last time I called the Astro A40 plus the MixAmp the worst combo I have ever tested. And here's why. The sound was a train wreck. Piercing trebles, bloated mids and basically no bass. And the mic, well, it was unreliable to the point of being unusable. The MixAmp itself was kept at 16 bits and 48 kHz and uses underwhelming parts. And the Dolby Pro Logic mode wrecked the audio quality even further. The software was clunky, wrong language, awkward EQ presets, and the wearing comfort wasn't great with tight ear cups and a droopy mic boom. Rightmark wasn't impressed as well, so in my opinion it was too expensive, too overhyped and objectively poor performance. I actually threw the Gen 3 away, and that says something for someone who is almost borderline hoarder when it comes to any kind of PC hardware. But as someone who thinks second chances must always be given, this is the Astro A40 TR Gen 4, the successor to the worst headset ever. And today we're finally going to find out what really changed, how it performs and whether it is finally worth that premium price tag. A small sidestep here. Astro was bought by Logitech back in 2017 for about 85 million US dollars. Logitech said they wanted to strengthen their position in the console gaming audio while keeping Astro as its own premium brand. Well, premium, it's more like the brand you have to pay the most for, so you think it's premium. That would be more like it. But since then, Astro products have slowly merged into the Logitech ecosystem. You're now even supposed to find firmware and EQ presets inside the Logitech G Hub. Although the Logitech software failed to detect this Astro A40. As for the design and build quality, it's basically still the same concept. A wired semi-open back headset paired with a DAC/amp combo called the MixAmp Pro TR, and the TR says, well, tournament. The headset itself hasn't changed much since 2017. The same 40mm drivers, same strange 48 ohm impedance, same overall look and feel. The only difference is the design is now more in landscape mode and not in portrait mode. Now that's not necessarily bad. The frame is still solid, the adjustment arms are metal, and it's now a more comfortable headset for long gaming sessions. So even though it looks the same, there are subtle differences. And the premium quality Logitech wants you to feel, well, it's just an extra metal weight added to the MixAmp, which gives you the illusions that there are actual quality components inside. So what do we actually find in this little black box, the MixAmp Pro TR Gen 4? Now, one thing you usually hear me say at this point in the review is something like, let's see what components are used. But with the Astro A40 TR Gen 4, that turns out to be surprisingly difficult. There's no public information about the DAC, op-amps or the analog to digital converter used. Nothing in official specs, nothing in teardowns I could find, besides a vague video showing off what I believe is an ST Microelectronics ARM microcontroller. Now, based on both the rather vague video I found online and the Rightmark measurements, I made it's very unlikely that this is using a high-end DAC or a discrete audio stage. What you're almost certainly looking at is a generic integrated USB audio codec, similar to what you find in many gaming-focused interfaces. Now, these chips combine the digital to analog converter, analog to digital converter, clocking and mixing all in one package, which keeps costs down and makes features like chat mixing and Dolby processing easier to implement. So while I can't name exact number parts here, everything points towards a feature-first integration design rather than a component level audio performance first approach. And that lines up perfectly with the measurements and the listening impressions. But first, the software. As said before, don't expect the Logitech software to detect the A40. You need the ancient control center for that. And don't expect a full audio seat. It's really more of a setup tool. Connect the MixAmp once, tweak your EQ settings, mic gain, side tone, then flash everything directly to the device, and after that the software can go straight into the bin. All your settings live inside the MixAmp's firmware. Now let's take a look at the objective measurements and more importantly what they do and what they don't tell us. Starting with the frequency response, the Astro MixAmp performs very well. With a deviation of less than 0.01 decibels between 40 and 15 kHz, the response is essentially flat. This means that the MixAmp is not coloring the sound in any significant way, which is exactly what you want from a gaming-focused digital to analog converter and amp. The noise floor and the dynamic range land in the mid-60 decibels range. Now, these results are average by modern hi-fi standards, but not unexpected for a gaming-oriented USB device with internal mixing and voice processing. In practical terms, this means that the noise floor is audible, but it's unlikely to be noticeable during actual gameplay or voice chat. The distortion performance is more than respectable. Total harmonic distortion comes in around 0.0043%, which is firmly in the good category. Where the MixAmp clearly falls behind more audio-focused devices is in the total harmonic distortion plus noise and stereo crosstalk. The THD plus N is denominated by the noise floor, resulting in a poor score. And the stereo control sits at just under -50 decibels. Now, this suggests limited channel separation, which is typical for devices that combine the DAC, amplifier and all the other mixing in a compact design. Now, overall, these measurements point to a product that prioritizes functionality over raw audio performance. The Astro MixAmp is clean in terms of frequency balance and acceptable in distortion, but it does not compete with a dedicated digital to analog converter or headphone amplifiers when it comes to noise performance or channel separation. If you think enabling Dolby processing will improve audio quality, these measurements show exactly why it doesn't. With Dolby enabled, the frequency response becomes heavily altered, showing extreme deviations with over +5 decibels and -17 decibels, which fundamentally changes the tonal balance. This isn't some subtle tuning anymore. No, it's aggressive signal manipulation. Stereo crosstalk collapses dramatically, indicating that the channel separation is largely lost, which directly harms positional accuracy in games. In short, Dolby processing trades accuracy and spatial integrity for an artificial effect that may sound impressive at first, but is objectively worse from an audio fidelity standpoint. So what does all of that mean when you actually put it on your head? Well, in games it sounds fine. Nothing is offensively wrong, but nothing really stands out. Dialogue is clear enough, gunfire has some punch, and the environmental sounds comes through without turning into a mess, but it never truly sounds clean. There's a faint layer of grain behind everything. Like the background is never completely silent. Stereo imaging is also weaker than I expected. Sounds don't look into position as sharply as they would. So footsteps feel more like a general direction than pinpoint accuracy. And wide open game worlds feel smaller and more closed in than they should. Music is where those limits really shows. Tracks that should feel spacious and detailed end up sounding flatter. Bass lacks real depth. The top end doesn't feel airy, and the complex songs start to blur together instead of staying separated. It doesn't sound as bad as the Gen 3, but it just doesn't sound impressive. And once you've heard the same games or music through a cleaner setup, it's not too hard to notice what's missing. At the end of the day, the Astro... I can take these off. At the end of the day, the Astro A40 TR Gen 4 is a big step in the right direction. In my opinion, it's not a revolution, it's more like the next logical step. It's stable, comfortable and tuned for gaming, especially if you love the convenience of the MixAmp's quick chat and game balance. Speaking of the MixAmp, it's now clear to me that it is severely underpowered, and coupled with a 48-ohm headset means that the MixAmp is always struggling. It always keeps on pushing itself to deliver some audio. It's like a moped engine in a sedan. Yes, it will move, but it has to be pushed to the max without the results to show that. Think of it like a 720p picture on a 4K screen. Totally watchable, but once you've seen better, you cannot unsee the flaws. And all this, coupled with a hefty price tag, I have to say it's just not worth it. You're paying for the hype, not for any quality. But if you buy it secondhand and get yourself some fresh earpads from Wicked Cushions like I did, and no, I'm not getting paid to say that, you will have something to enjoy. And with this ending, I would like to thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. See you in the next one. See you then, bye bye!